It was Grande Juve on Tuesday night, and it was an amazing Borussia Dortmund on Wednesday night. Both, well, Dortmund are now through. It's up to Juve. This is Sports Tonight Live, and this is the World Football Show. If, like Chelsea, you thought one Italian is too many, then you're about to be disappointed, because I'm Mina Rzouki and I'm joined by European football expert Tancredi, Palmeri, another Italian.
Where are you hiding the Juventus scarf? Are you just putting this fantastic outfit so we can't spot where there is the bianconeri stuff?
I wanted to wear a whole black and white outfit, but then I just thought that was kind of pushing it. But I also love Chelsea. You know that I supported them last season for the Champions League.
I also like Chelsea.
No, they're my English team.
Yeah.
But,
so you suffered on Tuesday, yeah?
No, I didn't. No way. When it comes against Juventus, there's no other team I want to win. But let's talk about that game, because I think a lot of people thought Juventus were very good the first time round because they managed to get 2 goals back and everything. Speaking, they did a great job. But this time, there was something about Juve that was like they recaptured the essence of them last season. It was back to the intensity, the pressing in all areas of the pitch, that aggressive, high-tempo game. And you saw the best of Vidal, you saw the best of Asamoah, and of course, the defense that was just left at the back to do everything whilst everyone else pushed forward. It was an Antonio Conte team.
Yeah, Antonio Conte, because when I was there in the stand, I was at the game, in the press box, you said they recovered the good things of the last season.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've seen the good thing of the Marcello Lippi Juventus in 95-96, the one that won the Champions League, the one where Antonio Conte was on the pitch. I've seen the same hunger, not a surprise, but I've seen the same 90 minutes focusing, but even the same capacity to convert, even if until the minute number 60, they just scored 1 goal and they wasted a lot of chances. But honestly, Juventus was all over. Reminded me so much the Juventus of Marcello Lippi in 1996. And I was thinking, can this Juventus, I don't want to anticipate too much the topics, but can this Juventus really be like that Juventus in 1996?
And what's the conclusion?
The conclusion was that Juventus had in front Vialli, Ravanelli and Del Piero. And here, Quagliarella took 44 minutes to play close to the edge of the box to just bounce one Andrea Pirlo shot.
You know what? That's what it is. I wrote a column for ESPN and I said that they're one striker away from absolute glory, because they have a wonderful midfield.
One great striker away from absolute glory.
One world-class striker. I mean, had they had the likes of Robin van Persie, Falcao, or whatever in front of
them, we can make a team with Falcao.
But imagine if you had someone of a great level playing up top, then this is a team that's literally one striker away from absolute glory. Much like Shakhtar are one goalkeeper away from a lot of trophies as well.
But see, one Falcao, one Van Persie, you really can't sign them. They never had the money or the real intention to sign them, to have the budget for that. But maybe you don't need just one Falcao. You don't need only one Falcao. Maybe it can be what was the Ravanelli in 96, that was the guy that just came out, wasn't the Falcao in that moment. So maybe even a Llorente that is rumored to come close. Because seriously, for the first 40 minutes, I was saying, what a waste of good playing. Both the forwards, Vucinic and Quagliarella, they were never coming close to the box. And I saw at least 5 times the crosses coming from the flanks or good passes in from Pirlo, and nobody was in the box. You had to be in the box to score.
Well, Marchisio was in the box, Vidal was in the box.
Marchisio, very few.
I think with Vucinic, as much as he missed a lot of great attempts at goal, I think what he does is he makes everyone around him a much better player. He adds creativity and he adds balance. If he was to be played alongside a great player, now from what I understand and for the rumours that I've heard speaking to people in Juventus, I know that Huntelaar is now on the agenda.
Yeah, but honestly,
would they
if
get
the
him?
problem was the budget and the money for that, so again with Huntelaar will come the same problem, because Huntelaar is someone that would come, is someone that is rumored at Schalke to sign a new contract for something like 7 or 8 millions of euros. That in Italy means 14 or 16 millions of euros, because you have to double because of the taxes. So they didn't make it in summer, they do it now.
We never know. But let's talk a little bit about Chelsea. Now, you know, it's a shame for Di Matteo and everything. And a lot of people were saying about, oh, if they started with Fernando Torres, if they started with anyone they wanted to, that was a very difficult Juventus team to overcome. But do you think his tactics, and to be honest, he was, you know, had they converted those 3 counterattacks, we would be talking about a very different result, and Di Matteo would be a hero, yes? But unfortunately for them, they didn't manage that. And everyone now is talking about Di Matteo's tactics. He was wrong to have started without Torres, because Torres is apparently a revelation in goal scoring. So is that a little bit unfair on him? I mean, he was missing his experienced leaders on the pitch, and you just saw a side that sort of didn't have the mentality and that hunger to go through. I mean,
you can't take away from the Chelsea. They said they are the reigning champions. You can't take away in the same time from Chelsea Terry, Lampard, and not say Drogba, because
Drogba, of course,
Drogba is the heavy impact of a winning spirit in Chelsea. But you just can't do without them. We talk about the counter-attack, the attitude of Chelsea. It was a bit weak, I must say. More than the tactics, even if the peak of Azpilicueta was disaster. I mean, Asamoah completely undone.
I don't agree, but look at Lichtsteiner. He had free reign to do. If he was a better player, he would have converted those opportunities. I think actually, I don't think that was a bad idea. I disagree.
The idea maybe could have been good.
No, and I think he stopped. The minute he went off, Asamoah assisted.
Yeah, but that is not the point. I mean, I focused on Azpilicueta and Asamoah for all the time on that side of the pitch, and every time the guy didn't know what to do, because he's supposed to be a fullback, and he was supposed instead to play there as the midfielder, just on the flank, and so he was just trying to help. The peaks of Di Matteo weren't maybe that good, but you can't say, oh, if there would be Fernando Torres, because how many times Torres was a disappointment in the great games? So are we telling us that all in a sudden Torres would find finally the personality to perform in this game?
But I do agree that he would have added a focal point. But I do want to move on as well to Nordsjælland Shakhtar, because Luis Adriano was perhaps the most hated man in football on Tuesday night.
And now, I guess still, it's something that will stay in his career.
Now, if you don't know the story, basically Nordsjælland had gone 1-0 up, and then, you know, the referee had blown the whistle to throw the ball in the halfway line. Luis Adriano didn't seem to think that basically the ball was going to be passed back to the goalkeeper of Nordsjælland. He instead decided to just take it, round off the defenders and shoot and score. Meanwhile, they allowed Nordsjælland to go on goal and just score freely. When they were going to score freely to equalize, to get another goal, they ended up coming up against a Shakhtar defender who actually tackled and intercepted the ball and took it away. So what do you think? Bad behaviour by Shakhtar, or are they right to have not let Nordsjælland just score a goal, according to the UEFA rules?
According to the UEFA rules, well, there was a reporter from the Danish TV, actually the sideline reporter, that said that Mircea Lucescu, the Shakhtar manager, after that Luis Adriano scored, said to some of his players to let them score. Even if we look at the second goal of Nordsjælland, and it's not that they are just standing and let the people go through, but there are different ways to let people score, and these are very professionals. They are not kind of amateurs. So if you look at that, yes, they try, but there is no one really that is like sacrificing himself for that. Of course, we can debate a lot, but I stick to that this Danish reporter said. And Mircea Lucescu is a true gentleman. We still can't say if he did it or not, and this is I tweeted about that. This is what a true gentleman does when he's doing some favor to you. You don't realize that he just puts you in the most comfortable situation, because this is what a gentleman is. So
is this now your role model? Yes. UEFA have confirmed that Adriano will face disciplinary action after they ruled his goal was against fair play, and about right too. Shakhtar, though, the only team to have qualified so far from that group, Group E, probably the toughest group now when you look at everything that's going on. Deserved?
You mean Shakhtar deserved?
Do they deserve to be the first group to have qualified out?
Wow.
First team.
Wow. I mean, in my opinion, of these 5 first fixtures of Champions League, they are the second best team that we have seen so far. I would put Shakhtar as second, Juventus as third,
Dortmund, who's
so
first?
wait to not understand who is the first one. Well, I think we know. But I mean, when we talk also about Di Matteo, the reigning champion, well, it was being the reigning champion wasn't so lucky to pick a group where two of the best five teams are there, Shakhtar and Juventus. I mean, in the best moment, because Champions League is a question of moment. You can be in a great shape in November and then be nothing in March. And Shakhtar and Juventus have been all over.
Now, it's interesting you say this because Shakhtar, Juventus, and perhaps Borussia Dortmund are a team that plays sort of, heavy, yes, of course it is, pressurizing football. They're very much of a team unit. There's a lot of pace going on. Now, that's not the way that Barcelona play. So we don't know whether the tide is turning, and now this is the type of football that seems to win in Europe at least. Now, Barcelona sealed their win. They're obviously the first to qualify out of their group with a 3-0 victory over Spartak.
-5 to Gerd.
Poor Unai Emery. First time we saw the centre-backs back in Barcelona. Yeah, it was nice to have them back there. Now, what about second place? Can Celtic do it? I think it's like sort of the Cinderella story, like Apoel last season. It's like everyone wants Celtic to go through, and they really deserve it,
Correct me if I'm wrong. They are playing at Dalush. No, they're playing in...
they host Spartak.
They host Spartak, yes.
With nothing to play for, Spartak.
And Benfica is playing in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Now...
And even with the second string Barcelona side.
Spanish never concede. Spanish never say, okay, we are already done. We'll let them.
Well, this is the Barcelona side that lost to Celtic with their first team.
Yeah. But I'm saying they never concede. This Benfica is not extraordinary.
No.
It's not extraordinary. Probably if Celtic would have 50% of the rage that they had, that they put on the pitch at the Celtic Park against Barcelona, they probably would ship a point from Portugal. Can they make it?
Well, this is
I say yes.
You say yes.
Because
Spartak
I think so
Moscow,
too. I don't believe at all in Spartak Moscow.
Me
because,
too.
Unai Emery, I don't understand why his defense is really absolutely nothing, we must say.
Ridiculous.
So it doesn't look like his defense. When he was manager of Valencia, he was probably even a better defense than Barcelona Real Madrid one, but not reliable at all. And as you said, Cinderella, so it's the Cinderella.
You kind of hope so. People are saying that perhaps, on this occasion, there's, Barcelona won't put out their first play. But obviously with Lionel Messi trying to chase Gerd Muller's record and trying to get as many
-5
goals.
together.
So you think that he will basically play anyway, regardless of whether or not he's playing with the likes of Teo or whatever?
Until he doesn't have the record, he won't stay out. He cares. He really cares about this record. Let's face it, he got everything. He's going to have...
But I thought he doesn't want individual victories. He just cares about the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's a martyr for the cause.
No, absolutely.
As opposed to, of course, Ronaldo.
And if you go to Barcelona, you say, please, can I play up front, even if I'm a woman, actually not even a pro footballer? And Messi say, okay, I'm very good at that, please go. And come to sleep also in my place and in my bed beside my wife.
How does this always happen? We always get into naughty topics with Tancredi. Bayern, Valencia, quick one. We have a minute to wrap this up. It was
Put a sport outfit next time.
It was. I can never wear a sport. Can Bayern Munich actually make it this year? On the basis of what we've seen so far, a draw with Valencia, probably fair. What do you think?
No. To me, no. Then everything can happen. As Chelsea won last year, everything can happen. But I think
maybe it will be Celtics here. You never know.
Yes, the momentum was, I think, was last year, and must say that they made it in this way so easily. Actually, not even struggled that much if we don't think about what happened against Bate and everything. But anyway, they didn't struggle that much. And they have been without the real top class player they have. It's Robben that played, if I'm not mistaken, just one game out of 5. Also, Heinkes is not playing Shaqiri, and for me it's really a blasphemy. But Thomas Müller, is recovering to the level that he was 3 years ago. I think they will be until almost the end, but no, it's no more the time.
I do love how you give me such brief answers to my questions. But do join us after the break. There'll be more Champions League action as we'll round up everything that happened on Wednesday night. Hello and welcome back to the World Football Show here on Sports Tonight Live. Now, over the break, basically, Tancredi is asking me what El Shaarawy's haircut looks like, what it's called in English. I don't know, I think it's a mohawk, but I don't know.
I think it's a brush for the kitchen, you know, when it's like...
Oh, like a paintbrush type of thing. Well, perhaps. But anyway, obviously coming back, and it's been a masterclass by Borussia Dortmund in that match against Ajax. They had 6 shots, 5 were on target, 4 of them were goals. Meanwhile, Ajax, who had 70% possession in the match, had attempted 6 shots on target, and they only could get 1 goal. What is that? They dominated the game in the sense of possession. Their stats were very effective, but there is something about this Dortmund side that now have Blaszczykowski back in it as well, that will just
This is one
not
of those
relent.
cases. One of those cases when I like that numbers don't mean
Anything.
anything about a game, because they're always a good help, an indication, but you have to watch the reality. So it's not that suddenly Ajax is helpless. Ajax did what they did against everybody, and it's great from the board that he never betrayed his philosophy. But the problem is that when they find someone like them, but that does the thing 3 times faster, quicker, and with more quality, the quality of Reus and Götze that have been
Lewandowski was
unbelievable.
spectacular.
But I must say that Lewandowski was the cynical converter, but Reus and Götze were like, oh guys,
The ones who pull the strings.
wow, mamma mia. And even if they have a player that I love, like Sam de Jong, but against this Borussia Dortmund, as we said, the best of this group stage. Maybe it's not good for them, because we say in Italy that who enters as Pope then comes out as Cardinal. So being in the perfect shape now, maybe it's too early.
Yeah, you think it's too early. I mean, Manchester United know a little bit about that anyway. But do you think that it's a case of, you see, this is what I mean, their type of football, everyone said last season, is quite impossible to play in the league as well as Champions League. It is an exhaustive tactic that they do. You know, they press all over the pitch, it's running, it's team moving back and forth together. So, you know, that's perhaps why they've been stuttering a little bit in the league. Can Klopp manage to get consecutive victories in the league as well as the Champions League? Or is it that they play the type of football, unlike Bayern Munich, that really can't last in both tournaments?
But it's not only because it's for the kind of football, but it's also for the kind of squad. I mean, Bayern Munich...
You think it's squad depth?
Bayern Munich got a much deeper squad than Borussia Dortmund.
Yes, but they have exert much more control in their tactics, which allows them to sort of take it a little bit easier.
It's a different kind of game, but if Borussia Dortmund would have some 3 or 4 players like the Bayern Munich one ready to stand up from the bench and do... Bayern Munich can play in Shaqiri, Pizarro, Gomez. Mario Gomez is just out. They don't have... We have to remember that Borussia Dortmund... Like one of the 2 backbones of Borussia Dortmund is Piszczek, Blaszczykowski and Lewandowski. The Polish backbone, we all like them a lot. But when these players then went playing the home Euro Championship with Poland, they weren't this great thing.
No.
So there you see how the great job of Klopp is working. But guys, in the end, we can't pretend really have everything. It's already almost a miracle what he's doing.
Yes, okay. Let's move on, obviously, to the other game in which, again, Madrid possessed something about 32% of the ball, but exerted most control. And this is the first time they conceded a penalty and got a red card this season for them, which I'm sorry, but no matter how many people will tell me that that was a deserved penalty, I didn't see it.
Who said? Introduce me someone that said it was a deserved penalty.
I don't want to tell you because I don't want to get but the newspapers go. The newspapers I was reading were saying, oh, it was a penalty. That was definitely a penalty.
No
it wasn't
way.
a penalty, right?
No way. Never. We just let him down. I think that even Manchester City were quite happy to get that.
And I do think Ronaldo deserved a little few more calls from the referee. I thought they was pushed quite a few.
Okay, the calls, I wouldn't go on the calls.
But
actually, I think that
matter.
the referee was very harsh towards Real Madrid.
Yeah.
I think that the strategy of ball possession was exactly what Mourinho wanted, because they were playing away.
Counter-attack.
1 point was fine. Counter-attack of Real Madrid is the best in the world when they just play counter-attack. I mean, the way to be straight to the box, nobody got like that in the world. The thing is that is the Rocky Horror Picture Show, as it is called.
Oh, that is what I call the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Rocky Horror Picture Show. Gianluca Rocchi, the Italian referee.
What
that
a
is
disaster.
a mystery still in Italy. Why is still there? I mean, This guy, and I don't want to be the usual Italian moaning about referee, but it is an Italian guy. This guy, once every 2 big games he's assigned for, he's always doing some mess. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is the nickname that was given to him last year after he did everything he could do in an Inter Napoli. And yesterday in Manchester, in City, Real Madrid, it was again the same, the red card. There was also this kind of attitude, very... Not like someone that want to put the game under control.
No, it's like, I want to be the star of the show. I'm really arrogant.
Yeah. And I have to bring you this. 2 years ago, Inter Milan derby, last derby with Mourinho on the bench. Inter won 1-0 in spite of arriving until playing with 8 men, so 3 red cards. Mourinho, after the game, said was clearly the demonstration that referee Rocky didn't want us to win tonight. And do you think that the referee forgot about that words?
So you think that's why he was harsh? Ooh,
I'm not saying. No. Wait a moment. No. I'm not saying that he went there to give disadvantage to Real Madrid, but I'm saying that for sure the words were still in his mind.
Right. Well, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised with Rocky sometimes. It's a shame, though, because, you know, Italian referees, you think of Collina, but let's move on to something a little bit better. This is Schalke, of course, with their 1-0 victory over Olympiacos, and Arsenal just behind with their 2-0 victory over Montpellier. Now, Arsenal were a little bit patchy in the first half, poor passing. They couldn't find the last trick to get into the goal, but then after the second half, they totally exerted their control. Giroud was great with his layoffs. You know, that's what really Belhanda needed for Montpellier to make Montpellier a much better side. If they had Giroud...
finally, a great goal from Podolski.
A great goal from Podolski. The likes that we would expect from him, no?
Yeah, but sooner or later should have come. I mean...
But what about Schalke? Now, they've been doing really well. They defeated Inter not that long ago, and ever since then, in the Champions League, they've been building up and building up. And they have a wonderful, strong, disciplined spine and great creative talent on the wing. Are they a side that we should fear in the Champions League?
Well, I must say that their group was a bit very friendly, because Montpellier was very disappointing, as the French team, well, the other one is Lille, have been disappointing in the attitude. Olympiacos went over the expectations because challenged until yesterday, both of them for the qualification. So the great thing they did was against Arsenal, but we know how much Arsenal has struggled in this fall to be together again after Van Persie going away. So I must say it has been a very friendly group. But I believe that, as 2 years ago, when Schalke was this blue chip, this team that won't win, but they will always play their game, and if they have the chance, they can sail. The good draw, for example, they can sail until the semi-final. I feel that they are still like that. One Raúl less, but one Huntelaar more that is at the level of the big strikers.
5 shots, really.
You don't like Huntelaar?
No, I like him. I just think that, firstly, I like him to play alongside another player, and secondly, I think he needs a lot of shots before he converts. But... you know, he did play for AC Milan, who've got a 3-1 victory against Anderlecht.
Wow, what a link! Bravissima.
Right? I thought so too.
You really deserve your salary today.
I really do. I deserve it always, Tancredi. But, you know, Anderlecht did have their centre-back sent off. Despite that, they still managed to get a goal. What do you think of Milan now? Much better. Berlusconi went to visit them before the weekend, last weekend, and you know, they did well against Napoli, maybe deserved more than that 1 point with their second half performance. But now, 3-1 victory. They did nothing really in the first half, let's be honest. Yeah, nothing, okay?
Anderlecht absolutely battered them, absolutely. I was like watching that, and I remember that game that they played against Anderlecht 5 years ago, where they won 1-0. But with Kaká scoring, but it was something like, okay, we are Milan, we know that sooner or later we were gonna sort this out. It was something like, wow, it's 1 century, it's really 1 century that passed by. Did nothing. The visit of Berlusconi, and what did happen to Mexes? Mexes cut his mohawk haircut, and after that, I mean, last Sunday, not last Sunday, two Sundays ago, he hit a fantastic post with an incredible back heel, just after conceding an absolutely stupid goal. And this time...
a wonderful
Well, you were just saying something very harsh, but for Maxence, I can allow that. There is one song lately that is going on in Italy.
But it was a wonderful goal of his.
It's about this song that is one video game. I won't say the name, the most famous video game about football that is doing the rhyme with Maxence. No, you can understand so. And they talk about smoking a joint and then playing with Maxence and playing this video game. That fantasy, that craziness yesterday in Maxence, someone gave him the joy because seriously, I don't know from where it was coming that from. This is for gallery of history of football, what he did. But as you said, first time Milan absolutely battered. At least they are through. But if they think that is
that's enough, no way, absolutely not. They're
News for you. Last week, as long as Berlusconi is back on control, last week Berlusconi spoke with Florentino Perez. They are trying to convince Real Madrid to have on loan Albiol, Carvalho, and Kaká.
Well, you never know. They have a great friendship going. But just before everything, and we wrap this up, PSG, Lavezzi is the one with the brace, as opposed to Zlatan.
At least Lavezzi.
Yes, and I think he's a fabulous player, so I'm glad he sort of started to shine a little bit there. Actually, he's been doing all right for a while now. So what do you think about PSG? Porto, did you think that Porto would come first in that group?
To me, Porto is the 5th best team of this group stage so far. But they have just 1 point more than PSG, and they will play at Parc des Princes. And I think so. And I think so that even if PSG didn't play so good like them, I think that they can steal the first spot of the last fixture.
Well, okay. Well, I don't know about that, but
the Ibrahimovic factor. Even yesterday, he played like he was playing in Milan, like number 10.
Amazing. He just opens everything space. It's a wonderful player. Only, in my opinion, only Ronaldo and Messi are better. But do join us after the break. We know the first. We know the top 3 teams in his eyes, and we know the 5th is Porto. So who's the 4th? Join us after the break, and you'll find out. Hello and welcome back to the World Football Show here on Sports Tonight Live. Now, just before the break, we told you who Tancredi's top 5 teams are, but we didn't know who was in 4th place, so just quickly tell us.
Malaga.
Of course it would be Malaga. They conceded 2 though, so I'm not sure about that. Anyway, let's move on to another continent, shall we? And we'll go over to South America, where Brazil beat Argentina on penalties for the Super Clásico.
Wow, was that the final of Copa America? No. Was that World Cup? No.
Well, I don't know. We're going to have to ask John Cottrell. John Cottrell from Goal TV is here with us today. Hello, John. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Can you tell us a little bit more about this cup and whether or not it loses its appeal because of the lack of European stars obviously playing in it yesterday?
Well, it's a really old traditional cup. It started as the Copa Hoca back in 1914, and then discontinued in 1976. And then last year, it started again between Brazil and Argentina, and they call it the Super Clásico das Americas, which is the Super Derby of the Americas, really. Brazil were up 2-1 from the first leg in Goiânia. They tried to play a game a few weeks ago back in Argentina, but they had floodlight problems. So the 2 teams are there, the 2 teams on the pitch, floodlight problems, they cancelled the game, and then it was rescheduled for last night in the Bombonera, which is the first time Brazil have actually ever played there.
Oh, wow.
That's the first time ever in history, and Argentina managed to win 2-1, and the game went to penalties, and Brazil won on penalties. But there was a lot of empty seats in this stadium, and as you said, the lack of Argentines, especially who are based in Europe, because it was only Brazil and Argentine players who were allowed to play in this game. It does take a lot of a shine off this kind of fixture, which some see as rather unnecessary, considering that Brazil have a very, very packed schedule. They're preparing for the Confederations Cup next year, and the World Cup, of course, and they can't use their full squad.
And also, I think, it's the end of the season in Brazil, but still the Brasileirão is not finished. So I don't know. It's like, what a very weird scheduling, at least weird.
Absolutely, yeah. And also Brazil, as far as I'm aware, is the only country which actually runs its league while there are FIFA dates. So Brazilian clubs suffer when Brazil are playing. And this year, of course, they played a lot of friendlies. They have the Olympics. And teams like Santos losing Neymar. Neymar's hardly played any games at all for Santos in the league. So it really, really does affect some of the clubs. And there are always calls to change the league season here because basically we start... There's a junior team competition, which is broadcast live here, big competition called the São Paulo Juniors Cup, and that starts on the 2nd of January. And then the local state leagues, which involve all the big clubs, they start around mid-January. And then the Copa do Brasil kicks in, and the Libertadores, and the Sul-Americana, and the Brasileirão. There's no break, basically, from mid-January until early December.
John, I like that you mentioned about Neymar, because there was a TV commentator, Paul Saras, yesterday that tweeted, correct me if I'm wrong, that yesterday was the game number 70 in 2012 that Neymar played. Is it right?
It could be right. It wouldn't surprise me. He never misses a game. Neymar wants to play every single game. He's never injured or rarely injured. He doesn't get many suspensions. He's going to miss the Corinthians match at on the Saturday, in fact. But he wants to play. He plays for Brazil one day, and then he jets back into the country, and he plays for Santos the next day.
Okay, so what is the rhythm of these games are already at a lower level for Neymar? Is a Superman, or this is going to affect him very hardly in the next future?
I think personally that there could be burnout when he gets a bit older. Genetically, we did a special on him for our Foot Brazil magazine show, and genetically he is suited to recover very, very quickly once he's played a game. He's exhausted at the end of the game, but within 12 hours he's totally fit. The levels of hormones in his blood are back to a very, very high level, and he can go on and he can perform within 12 hours of playing a game very, very easily. So he has a genetic thing. He has a fabulous talent. That's the other thing, and it stays clear of injuries.
My God, if I actually walk less than a mile, I need about 24 hours to recover. So God knows how he does that. But John, let me move on just quickly, because of course the last time we spoke to you, there was that controversial incident with Palmeri, and now they've been relegated. So how does it feel in Brazil to have one of the greatest clubs, you know, in their history relegated?
Well, I mean, as far as Palmeri is concerned, they went down 10 years ago. So they're used to going down, but they went down 10 years ago. And the man who put them down, Wagner Love, as he's called, he scored an equaliser for Flamengo. Palmeiras had to win the remaining 3 games to stand any chance of staying up, and also rely on other results. They drew 1 apiece at Flamengo. Wagner, the man who scored lots of goals for Palmeiras in Serie B, the 2nd division, he scored the equaliser for Flamengo. Results elsewhere sent Palmeiras down. As you said, they are one of the giants. They've won a lot of competitions here. They won the Libertadores here as well, under Filipão back in the 90s. Filipão was the coach at Palmeiras for the last year and a half. Yeah. Many see him as being responsible for sending Palmeiras down to the 2nd division. His record in the league was atrocious: 4 wins, 5 draws, and 15 losses. But because of his huge salary, Palmeiras really couldn't afford to get rid of him. He was, I think, the 11th best coach in the world, which for Brazilian standards is very, very high indeed. And you mentioned the hand of God incident involving Hernan Barcos, who actually played for Argentina last night against Brazil. Well, the result of that game was Internacional 2, Palmeiras 1. Palmeiras complained because they alleged that some of the officials had looked at replays on TV monitors and saw that Barcos has handled the ball. It would have been 2-2. It went to a sports tribunal, and they voted 9 judges to 0 that the result would stand. Everyone knew that was going to happen anyway, because there was no proof what had happened on the pitch, and no one could say whether the officials had used TV video or not.
Right, okay. Thank you so much for your roundup, John, but I do have to unfortunately let you go. But hopefully we can speak to you a little bit later, and as we find out how Brazil are getting along with all their preparations.
Okay.
thank you for that. Let's move on to MLS because, of course, there's all this news of now David Beckham leaving LA. What does that mean for Posh? Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. That's what I have to talk about.
Look, with that heels, she can walk everywhere. That's not a problem.
That is indeed. But honestly speaking, there's lots of rumours now with other people leaving to the MLS, him leaving. Does this say something about the MLS? You know, as in they're getting all these stars that sort of only go there when they're a bit retired. You mentioned Lampard earlier.
It's saying exactly what we knew already and that didn't change. I mean, the pace in MLS is really like of these old horses that go to retire just somewhere. The news, I think that is no more the Beckham that went to Milan 2 years ago, that I think that was still competitive, for example, to play in a World Cup. But, you know, a Beckham in a PSG could still fit, even if...
Really?
Yes, this guy...
But also, do they really need another attacking midfielder?
No, of course they don't need Beckham. But, you know, if you have Beckham, and he's still is one of the best cross deliverers in the world.
Yes, yes.
So when you are desperate and you have something like 15 minutes, he's the guy saying, okay, you know, maybe he can give 1 or 2 crosses that are good. But yesterday, Leonardo from PSG said, we are not interested in Beckham. Let's see.
Well, let's see. Luckily for us, we've got Joe Prince right on the phone with us, who is our MLS expert. Hello, Joe. Can you hear us?
Yeah, loud and clear. How you guys doing?
Perfect, thank you. So what is it about these rumours? So Leonardo has come out to say that they're not interested in Beckham. He is leaving LA, so where do you think he's going?
Well, to be honest, there's a lot of rumours over in the US that he was going to stay and play for the New York Cosmos, but that doesn't really seem like it's going to pan out because they're joining the NASL, which is the second tier over there. So for a few years, they won't be an MLS team. So honestly, the indications we're getting is that he's going to head to Australia. And I think that'd be a great move for Beckham. It's very similar to the MLS 5 or 6 years ago when he first went out there. And the likes of, you know, Del Piero and Emil Heskey being there, he's kind of going along the same lines as them to try and raise the profile in Australia. So with Paris now out of the question, I think Australia is the most likely destination.
Joe, the fact that Eric Cantona is at the New York Cosmos can maybe help the transfer?
It could, but to be honest, for this season, they're going to be playing at a high school stadium in Long Island, and they're going to be playing in the NASL. So I can't see Beckham dropping down that level, playing in front of crowds of 3,000 or 4,000, which they probably will get. I think in a couple of years' time, if he's still playing, maybe that would be an option. But I think it just really should be ruled out of the question right now. But you never know in the future. He's got a clause in his MLS contract about being an owner of the team, and he's already said he's going to exercise that. Whether that's with the New York Cosmos or another new franchise, he's definitely going to be in and around America for the foreseeable future.
Right, okay. Joe, what about his replacement for the team? Will they be having to find someone else who can possibly give what Beckham gives? Frank Lampard has been mentioned as a possible replacement.
Jerry Halliwell.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think Lampard is all for being there. From what we've heard, the reports we've heard, the deal is almost close to being done. The only stumbling block is whether Lampard is going to come in January during the transfer window, or he wants to see out the end of the season with Chelsea. I don't know how that changes now with Benitez coming in, whether Lampard's role at Chelsea is going to be improved, more playing time when he comes back from injury. But yeah, everyone in LA wants to see Lampard there. He would take up a big chunk of the DP money, which Beckham will be leaving behind, which is another big factor with MLS with the salary caps and everything else involved. So I think Lampard, but also Didier Drogba and even Kaká have come out in the last month or so and said how they admire what the MLS is doing as a league and, you know, with their franchises. So maybe a few of those bigger names will come for the 2013 season, and that would be a great legacy that Beckham has left behind. The likes of those guys, Drogba and Kaká, are even contemplating coming to MLS is something that Beckham's brought to the league.
Right, okay. What about the state of the MLS now? Do you think that with, you know, sort of always being associated to these stars that come to the end of their, how do you say, their careers really in the UK, in the Premier League, in Italy or in Spain, then move on to MLS? I mean, when are they actually going to start going for players who are at their peak?
Seems you're going to talk about elephants that want to die far away from the people.
Oh dear, this is terrible.
I mean, to be honest, it should really have happened a few years ago that younger players are going at it, but you're seeing the likes, the Montreal Impact are taking Alessandro Nesta, Marco Di Vaio. They're going over there now in the twilight of their career, you should say. But it's very interesting. The New York Red Bulls are trying to get younger, international, hungry guys from Europe to come over, but it's not as easy to do. Just purely the fact that they're trying to grow the US game as well. They're trying to get as many young US players involved, and there's restrictions on the number of foreign players you can have in the MLS.
Yeah.
So, you know, for them just to have the 2 or 3 marquee signings who are going to bring in a huge amount of money from shirt sales, that's going to be the main thing for MLS clubs to do.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us, Joe. It was a pleasure having you on. But do join us after the break, where we'll be heading back to Europe to discuss news in brief. See you then. Hello and welcome back to the World of Football show here on Sports Tonight Live. Now we move on to the man who broke the story about all the fan trouble that happened yesterday night between Lazio and Tottenham Hotspur's fans. Yeah. Now tell us a little bit more about that. What's going on?
It's just a shame and it's disgusting. We can't still talk about fans trouble because still is not clear if it was from Lazio Ultras, I would say. It would be offending to call them Lazio fans. These are criminals. If it was from Lazio Ultras, for someone trying to pretend to be kind of Ultras, or it is even thought that could be a kind of connection between different kind of Ultras. Why? Because Tottenham is the club that is connected with Jewish roots and everything. So for anti-Semitic reasons, it's really disgusting. What happened is that in this very popular pub, English pub, in the very center of Roma. 3 weeks ago, I was in that pub when I was in Roma, because it's the place where usually the Erasmus hang out, they do the pub rides. Well, the Anglo-Saxon, when they go to Roma, they just hang out there. Yeah. So by 1 o'clock in the night, people were there. Wasn't not even that atmosphere that there is when the English fans go abroad, so they drink too much, they are too loud. Was not even like that. Was not even like that. 40 men, around 40 men with motorbike helmets, with bats, someone with knives, arrived in the bar. They start to destroy everything until part of the people that were in the bar that couldn't recognize, couldn't spot as Tottenham fans left, and they were, let's say, allowed to leave. Instead, the Tottenham people stayed there. Other fans were outside the bar, preventing that they couldn't they couldn't leave the place. They beat them up. 10 of them went to hospital. One of them is in serious condition because was stabbed. It's not confirmed, but apparently he was stabbed here beside the neck. And this thing, it's a long talk. Can I say I'm so ashamed and so bothered and tired that every time that is about Italy, I have to hear, oh, why in Italy these things happen still? It's not about Italian, it's not about that. It's about that there is a political not will to solve this problem once in a while. Because these people always, in some way, they find a way, some political side, and some way out, some escape. Because if they are 40 persons at 1 o'clock in the middle of the night, but in the middle of Rome, it's impossible in 2012 that you can spot each one of them. It's absolutely impossible.
No, you're right, you're right. And unfortunately, football is being used for political reasons far too often that we like. But speaking of political, Berlusconi owns Milan. Milan play Juve, and we're trying to go on to a more positive note. The great game that will be Milan-Juventus. Now we'll both be in the match, and it's going to be...
Oh yes! What a connection! What a connection! Give me this camera. These two persons, Stadio San Siro, Sunday night, both there at the press box, watching Milan-Juventus. What that will be, after the stadium will happen, actually.
I'll be in the director's box. But anyway.
Like Ronaldinho.
Damn straight. Right, let's talk about this game. Do you think that it'll be an easy one for Juve, or do you think Milan will really rev themselves up for this match?
Not even that. Won't be easy for Juve, because, wow, the Chelsea game maybe
Took a lot out of them.
Maybe was the most demanding of all this year and a half
Yes.
of Antonio Conte
Squad.
Juventus. Also demanding year in mind. I mean, he really sucked out all the energy from them. But,
Satya Vidal.
but I must say that anyway, Milan, we saw what happened with Anderlecht. The few strengths that they could put there, they put it there. Honestly, I think that Juventus will struggle, but in the last 20-25 minutes, they will make it. Look at the defense still of
Do you think there'll be squad rotation then? Do you think the likes of Giaccherini will play, Di Scelio will play, and Isla will play? Just
De Ceglie, no, because still do such childish defensive mistakes that is not so reliable. But Giaccherini might. He got some stamina that could be really needed on Sunday. Pogba means that you have to rule out one between Marchisio, Vidal, and Pirlo, of course. And what a decision
I
is
think
that?
Vidal needs a time out.
No, of course he needs. Maybe he would make one half both. I don't know.
That's a good idea. But any predictions?
Prediction, I go for 1-2 for Juventus.
Right, okay. Now let's move on just very briefly.
Remember that 2 weeks ago you asked me prediction for the group stage of Champions League of Juventus. Said who will qualify? I said Shakhtar first and Juventus second. You forgot about that.
Oh my God, I did forget about that.
But
Did
now you
really
remember,
say-
no?
Yes, you said
Mamma
Shakhtar.
mia.
Wait, hold on. They still have to get a point in Dan Bass Arena.
Biscotto, no?
Oh, after we complain so much about Sweden and Denmark, then we start making deals of our own. And you know what we'll say? Oh, Juve back to their ways. Juve back to their ways. You know. Anyway, I do remember. Never mind. I'm not even going to go into that. Klaas-Jan Huntelaar is sort of the only player everyone keeps talking about. Where will he go? Will it be Liverpool? That was the first team that was associated to him.
Nah.
Will it be Arsenal? Do they have the money? Or will it be Juventus? With most people tweeting me, why on earth would he go to Serie A? Yes, of course. Why on earth? What do you think?
I think that to take Huntelaar, they have to break the budget.
Who? Juventus?
Yes. And, okay, everything is possible. If Chelsea won last Champions League, everything is possible. But I just say, if you didn't break the budget for Van Persie, why now you decide to do it on January for
Yeah, but
Huntelaar?
surely he's not going to cost you as much as Robin Van Persie.
But it's going to cost anyway a lot. Not less than
Well, you want a world-class
16 millions
striker.
of euros of salary per year, 8 millions the salary, 8 millions the taxes. Plus, you want to give some tips of 15 or 20 millions of euros to Schalke? I don't know.
Well, you know what? You want a world-class striker, then you have to take out your wallet and actually pay for a world-class striker. So who is he going for? I really don't know, but it seems like no one has money.
They want
Thank
us in the
you.
show, they have to pay a lot. So
Thank
it's
you
always
for
like
joining us on the show. I shall see you in Italy. But as for you guys, we'll see you next week, same time, same place, same football chat. See you then. I think with Vucinic, as much as he missed a lot of great attempts at goal, I think what he does is he makes everyone around him a much better player. He adds creativity and he adds balance. If he was to be played alongside a great player, now from what I understand and for the rumours that I've heard speaking to people in Juventus, I know that Huntelaar is now on the agenda.
Yeah, but they honestly,
Would they
if
get
the
him?
problem was the budget and the money for that, so again with Huntelaar will come the same problem, because Huntelaar is someone that would come, is someone that is rumored at Schalke to sign a new contract for something like 7 or 8 millions of euros. That in Italy means 14 or 16 millions of euros, because you have to double because of the taxes. So they didn't make it in summer, they do it now.
We never know. But let's talk a little bit about Chelsea. Now, you know, it's a shame for Di Matteo and everything. And a lot of people were saying about, oh, if they started with Fernando Torres, if they started with anyone they wanted to, that was a very difficult Juventus team to overcome. But do It was Grande Juve on Tuesday night, and it was an amazing Borussia Dortmund on Wednesday night. Both, well, Dortmund are now through. It's up to Juve. This is Sports Tonight Live, and this is the World Football Show. If, like Chelsea, you thought one Italian is too many, then you're about to be disappointed, because I'm Mina Rzouki and I'm joined by European football expert Tancredi, Palmeri, another Italian.
Where are you hiding the Juventus scarf? Are you just putting this fantastic outfit so we can't spot where there is the Bianconeri stuff?
I wanted to wear a whole black and white outfit, but then I just thought that was kind of pushing it. But I also love Chelsea. You know that I supported them last season.
I also like Chelsea.
No, they're my English team.
Yeah.
But, just
so you suffered on Tuesday, yeah?
No, I didn't.
But I've seen the same 90 minutes focusing, but even the same capacity to convert, even if until the minute number 60, they just scored one goal and they wasted a lot of chances. But honestly, Juventus was all over. Reminded me so much the Juventus of Marcello Lippi in 1996. And I was thinking, can this Juventus, I don't want to anticipate too much the topics, but can this Juventus really be like that Juventus in 1996?
And what's the conclusion?
The conclusion was that Juventus had in front Vialli, Ravanelli and Del Piero. And here Quagliarella took 44 minutes to play close to the edge of the box to just bounce one Andrea Pirlo shot.
You know what? That's what it is. I wrote a column for ESPN and I said that they're one striker away from absolute glory, because they have a wonderful midfield.
One great striker away from absolute glory.
One world-class striker. I mean, had they had the likes of Robin van Persie, Falcao, or whatever in front,
we can make a team with Falcao.
But imagine if you had someone of a great level playing up top, then this is a team that's literally one striker away from absolute glory. Much like Shakhtar are one goalkeeper away from a lot of trophies as well.
But see, you know, one Falcao, one Van Persie, you really can't sign them. They never had the money or the real intention to sign them, to have the budget for that. But maybe you don't need just one Falcao. You don't need only one Falcao. Maybe it can be what was the Ravanelli in 96. That was the guy who just came out, wasn't the Falcao in that moment. So maybe even a Llorente that is rumored to come close. Because seriously, for the first 40 minutes, I was saying, what a waste of good playing. Both the forwards, Vucinic and Quagliarella, they were never coming close to the box. And I saw at least five times the crosses coming from the flanks or good passes in from Pirlo, and nobody was in the box. You had to be in the box to score.
Well, Marchisio was in the box, Vidal was in the box.
Marchisio very few.
No way. When it comes against Juventus, there's no other team I want to win. But let's talk about that game, because I think a lot of people thought Juventus were very good the first time round because they managed to get 2 goals back and everything. They did a great job. But this time, there was something about Juve that was like they recaptured the essence of them last season. You know, it was back to the intensity, the pressing in all areas of the pitch, that aggressive, high-tempo game. And you saw the best of Vidal, you saw the best of Asamoah, and of course, you know, the defense that was just left at the back to do everything whilst everyone else pushed forward. It was an Antonio Conte team.
Yeah, Antonio Conte, because when I was there in the stand, I was at the game, in the press box, you said they recovered the good things of the last season.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've seen the good thing of the Marcello Lippi Juventus in 95-96, the one that won the Champions League, the one where Antonio Conte was on the pitch. I've seen the same hunger, not a surprise.